Good afternoon, everyone. So, are you comfortable about prelims अभी? तो छोड़ो, environment क्या पढ़ना है फिर? So, I guess most of the portions except for environment of prelims is over. Prelims खत्म है अभी? Prelims के portions या कुछ बचा है? Foundation batch में? Economics के last 3-4 chapters, 3-4 lectures, not chapters, sorry. Governance prelims में नहीं आता. 8 lectures are remaining. So you cannot study this subject in isolation. In this subject, there will be some 16 to 20 questions, but in some questions you will require the knowledge of biology. In some questions you will require the knowledge of geography. Many of the questions will, especially on the biomes, will demand the knowledge of the geography. And food chain, food web वाला जो easy questions है, या पिछले साल जैसे coral reefs पे questions था, that will demand the knowledge of biology. Some of the correlated facts. There are 3 books of environment and ecology. Now, which are them you are having? One is Shankar IS. Someone may be having R. Rajgopalan. Fine. Someone may be having the environment and ecology. And किसी के पास होगा Shankar IS. Choice is yours. कौन सी book पढ़नी है? I'll just tell you कैसे पढ़नी है उसको. So, सबसे पहले whatever we do in the class. मिक्सचर ऑफ क्लास नोट्स इनिशियल 2-3 लेक्चर्स में, बिकॉज ये जो इकोलॉजी का टॉपिक है, इफ आई गिव यू प्रिंटेड मटेरियल्स इट विल बी टू मच, एंड जनरली मिनिमम क्वेश्चंस विल कम फ्रॉम एन इकोलॉजी सेक्शन. You won't expect many questions coming from the food chain, food web, ecological succession, climax community, ecotone, edge effect, the primary succession या biogeochemical cycles. एक या 2 क्वेश्चन आता है, and you have to be, if you read the printed material for that, you are going to waste the time because question will be more applied in nature. Secondly, if you read the printed material, whether I give you the printed material or whether anyone gives you the printed material, you are reading from Shankar etc. The material is, the content is too much, जिसकी बिल्कुल ज़रूरत नहीं है एग्जाम के लिए. You just should know 1 or 2 questions. So जैसे पिछले साल क्वेश्चन पूछा था, phosphorus does not play any role, the phosphorus cycle does not play, or phosphorus does not play any role on the land part of the cycle. नहीं, हमें पता है that phosphate rocks are present on the land. जो हम करेंगे phosphorus, and वैसे questions आएंगे. Or what was the composition of the early atmosphere? और food chain पे question. That is what you mean by pyramid of energy. Who coined the term ecosystem? What is the definition of edge effect? What is the definition of ecotone? ये बहुत superficial questions आएंगे, and इनके examples are very much necessary. So this portion, if you want to read any material, जो मैं daily basis पे point cover करूँगा class में, if you want to, अगर नहीं पढ़ोगे तो कुछ नहीं जाएगा, जो अपने notes है उसको बार बार करो. But if you still want to have an understanding of the processes, you can do only those topics after identifying them from the index. मतलब किसी बुक का इंडेक्स खोलो, don't go by the chapter. अगर edge effect mentioned है तो सिर्फ edge effect पढ़ लेना, not more than that. If you are doing PMFIS or if you are doing Shankar, it is the same thing. PMFIS is copy paste of Shankar in the terms of environment and ecology. सिर्फ ये फर्क है कि एक में डायग्राम्स कलरफुल है, एक में डायग्राम्स ब्लैक एंड वाइट में है, बस बाकी कोई फर्क नहीं है PMFIS एंड शंकर में. सो शंकर वॉज वेरी गुड, शंकर इज स्टिल वेरी गुड, बट बल्कि बहुत है इसलिए रिटेंशन नहीं है. सो डोंट डू शंकर अनलेस यू वांट टू यूज दिस एज अ रेफरेंस. कमिंग टू द राजगोपालन, कुछ पेजेस राजगोपालन में बहुत अच्छे हैं, यू कैन रीड दैट, बट अगेन इतने बल्कि क्वेश्चंस की बुक्स की जरूरत नहीं है. So what should you be your primary criteria is you should do the class notes again and again, and जो आज आपको MCQs मिलेंगे, हम कुछ MCQs क्लास में डिस्कस करेंगे. इंडियन ज्योग्राफी के सॉल्यूशंस जो MCQs के वो बाद में मैं डिस्कस करूंगा क्लास में. So जो हमने कवर किया है पास्ट ईयर MCQs वो MCQs के थ्रू सॉल्व करो. Because when we study this area, we divide this area into 3 specific parts of the syllabus. One is the ecology and ecosystem. The next is the concepts of biodiversity and its effect. And third concept is that of climate change. Now, most of the material which we have in the market will be focusing on ecology and ecosystem, which as is a very static portion. Nothing has changed in ecology and ecosystem, and jahan se generally we get maximum 3 to 4 questions. So there is no point in reading 300 pages for 3 to 4 questions when you can do that in 10 to 15 pages. And generally questions उसी area से आएंगे. So this should be totally based on the class written notes. Biodiversity and climate change के लिए we have some printed notes available, but उसके लिए there is no printed notes and you should be doing them only from the class का written notes, ecology and ecosystem or some of the criteria here. And here you should remember कि you should not miss a single question coming from ecology and ecosystem. एक ट्रिक होता है environment ecology के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने का कि किस एरिया में मिस्टेक्स आर अलाउड एंड किस एरिया में मिस्टेक्स आर नॉट अलाउड. सो नॉट अ सिंगल क्वेश्चन should be missed from ecology and ecosystem. Q questions are going to be very straightforward. They will ask you a definition of biodiversity. They will ask you the role of biodiversity. They will ask you the causes of the biodiversity. They will ask you pollution and uske indicators. अब इसमें only some of the pollutants which are in the news will be added as a part of current. So current में क्या क्या आएगा इसमें? Current में इसमें आएगा the environmental degradation or degradation of ecosystem. That is in some ways we can say pollution. And pollution में इस साल formalin, इस साल oxytocin, इस साल the concept of triclosan and uranium pollution of groundwater in India. These are the 4 topics which are going to come in current, and उसमें से 3 तो आपको पता ही होंगे. Formalin, formaldehyde used as a conservation for the fishes, causes cancer. Oxytocin, it is used for in the cattle industry, causing hormonal imbalances. Triclosan in detergents, antibacterial property, but causes cancer, long-term exposure. And uranium, that is some parts of the groundwater in India are having rich in uranium and causing cancer. So all this are associated with cancer. In सब में क्या common है? Hormonal destruction and cause of cancer. क्या uncommon है इसमें? Some of may be bioaccumulants, some of may not be bioaccumulants. What do you mean by bioaccumulation? Biomagnification, Stockholm Convention on the bioaccumulants, then Rotterdam Convention and the Basel Convention. ये 3 conventions है which are associated with the ecology and the ecosystem. Rest of the things of ecology and ecosystem जो हमने geography में cover किया है, that is Mediterranean type of climate, tropical evergreen type of forest. This all comes in the concept of environment, ecology and ecosystem. इस साल एक concept है carrying capacity of the nature and therefore earth overshoot day. So in this 12 lectures what we are going to cover, it will be current also. So you don't have to do separately from somewhere current affairs. देखो current will be unending process, but अभी आपको decide करना है कि किस पे you can concentrate और किस पे you cannot concentrate. So जिसमें you can concentrate, you can fetch marks. Otherwise the number of species that are discovered in India every year are innumerable. Western Ghats में, for example, Western Ghats में every day a new species is discovered because इतना ज़्यादा scientific discovery है वहाँ पे. And to tell you one frankly, that is the known species of Western Ghats are only 8% of the known species. 92% of the species are yet to be discovered in the Western Ghats. So किस पे focus करोगे आप? Rather than that, look at the past year questions of UPSC और उनके specific areas है. For example, last year एक invasive species पूछा, that is known as Gandha cattle, or in simple words, Profloris juliflora. Profloris juliflora because it is a kind of a plant that is causing forest fires. मधुमलाई आजकल फिर से न्यूज में है, तो मधुमलाई. Why forest fires? Because that plant, if burned and buried, results into development of coal, a peat, and इसलिए natural forest fires के पास साथ there is causes artificial forest fires. So it is an invasive alien species. इस साल फिर से न्यूज में है because Profloris juliflora is originating in the Banni grasslands. So why the Banni grassland is in the news? Because India is reintroducing cheetah, Asiatic cheetah, which has got extinct from India. It has to be reintroduced. From where? From Namibia. So it is no longer an Asiatic cheetah, it is an African cheetah. So ideal way of, ideal region of introducing the Asiatic cheetah in the world, in India, is Banni grassland. But government देखता है कि there is so much trees in the Banni grassland कि cheetah तो does not require trees. Cheetah runs with such a great speed, and imagine अगर पेड़ है तो cheetah अगर control नहीं कर पाया. So where we have introduced it in the Vindhyas. कहाँ पे Vindhyas में? नरुधराई Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh. So ये सारा based है current affairs का. You take all the past year questions. So this is an area. सबसे जो dangerous area लगता है students को, it is going to be biodiversity. Because biodiversity will have 10 to 12 questions which will come every year. And the biodiversity mein, there will be concepts of biodiversity. There will be conventions for the protection of biodiversity. And these conventions for the protection of biodiversity can range from CBD, a Convention on Biodiversity, Nagoya, Aichi, Cartagena, Ramsar convention. So these are the international conventions which are the part of the biodiversity. So इसमें से Ramsar, which is a natural lake, which is an artificial lake, कौन सा animals है. Then there are methods of the conservation of biodiversity. And methods of the conservation of biodiversity in situ and ex situ. Then there are some of the legislations for the conservation of biodiversity or acts at the national level. For example, Wildlife Protection Act, Biodiversity Conservation Act, the Environment Protection Act. हर एक के अंदर क्या है? What is known as vermin? What is a trophy? What will constitute a trophy? Who has the power to establish national park, biosphere reserve? What is the difference between national park, wildlife sanctuary and a biosphere reserve? All this will come in the concept of biodiversity and the concept of the hotspots जो हमने किया है already in geography. You have got a basic idea of the hotspots. कितने hotspots India में? 3. That is Western Ghats, Himalayas, Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, which are the 3 on the Indian territory, and the 4th one is Andaman and Nicobar, which becomes a part of Sunda land, that is the Indonesia biodiversity hotspot. It is not a part of our biodiversity hotspot. And then सबसे जो difficult लगता है, that is national parks. So some of the important national parks we have done, some we will revisit for revision, some new will be there as per the current affairs. That is the latest current affairs tak, some of the new national parks will be there. Then biodiversity ka some of the components we have already finished in the geography, that is coral reefs, natural vegetation of India, social forestry, this all will come in the components of an biodiversity which we have finished in the geographical lectures, soil and biodiversity. Then what will come is some of the new topics, I don't know whether you have heard about them, global eco 200 suna hai? Global ecological regions, which is done by World Wildlife Forum. Fine. So there will be some of the concepts of international organizations such as UNESCO, sites, traffic. इन सब का नाम सुना होगा, sites, traffic, UNESCO, then the IUCN, UNDP यहाँ पे आएगा, IUCN, then WWF, BirdLife International, Bombay Natural History Society, सुना है, International Water Management Institute. So this all are some of the components which will be non-governmental organization which will be working for biodiversity, and some like PAGE, पिछले साल, this all are associated for the biodiversity conservation. और इन सब के ऊपर एक है जो इनको पैसे देगी, that is whether it is for anything, that is Global Environment Facility. Global Environment Facility, which is functioning under the World Bank. I told you to remember simple thing, money anyone who is giving is under the World Bank. So Global Environment Facility is an autonomous organization under the World Bank. Fine. And then we will come to the last portion, which is thankfully not that important for prelims, but which is more important for mains. और आज भी अगर question आता है mains, you can easily write this. So it is climate change, and climate change में सबसे ज़्यादा focus होगा on organizations. Organization, I am just giving you the flow chart, no need of writing, पहले concepts clear कर लो mind में, क्योंकि इसको अगर अलग वे से पढ़ोगे तो ये subject unending है. इसको अगर रेगुलर पढ़ोगे, जितना हमने क्लास में पढ़ा है उतना ही घर पे जाके 1 घंटा और रिवीजन करोगे, and then this subject is very easy. Fine with this? So 19 सबसे पहले the coming up of steam engine, the coming up of industrial revolution, उसका effects. Then came Club of Rome 1975. Club of Rome told कि world is going to end at in the 1960s to 70s में Club of Rome आया था. It told that the world is going to end by 2100, and therefore world leaders सबसे पहले met in 1972 Stockholm Declaration, Stockholm Convention वहाँ पे, Stockholm Declaration, which resulted into the formation of United Nations Environment Program. With the Stockholm Declaration, then came Vienna Protocol, then came Montreal Protocol, and ultimately there came Bertland Report, 1987 में, the report of World Commission on Sustainable Development, which is known as the Bertland Report, which gave the idea of sustainable development. 87 के बाद 1990s में, 89 में formation of UPPCS, उसके बाद 1992 में the Earth Summit, उसके बाद 1995 में Kyoto Protocol, then 2005 to 2012 was the era of a Kyoto Protocol. Then after that came the Seoul में summit, which resulted into the formation of Green Climate Fund. Then Kyoto 2, Kyoto Protocol, common but differentiated responsibilities, Annex 1, non-Annex 1 countries, Annexure A, Annexure B countries. Then the concept of clean development mechanism, the concept of carbon credit, which are gone today, but still we should know about this. Then came 2012 में Kyoto 2 failure. So Kyoto 2, because it went into failure, 2015 में Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement के sidelines पे India and France joined together hands to form International Solar Alliance, which initially had the members of only those countries through which Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn passes. But ultimately आज 122 members है उसके, because it has allowed all the countries to come together. The first international organization which was declared in France, but uska headquarter is in Gurgaon, because India का target to increase the renewable energy is 175 gigawatts by 2022, but उसमें solar energy will be having 100 gigawatts renewable energy का targets. Then coming up of electric cars, so electric cars mains का topic हो जाएगा, but you should know hydrogen fuels, you should know the concept of lithium ion batteries. So कुछ साइंस में हुआ होगा, कुछ रिपीटेटिव लगेगा. So you tell me what has happened in science, what has not happened in science. Fine. So हाइड्रोजन फ्यूल्स में the problem है very clean energy will give out the output as water, but एक ही problem है उसका storage, because hydrogen is highly combustible. Little bit exposure to the hydrogen fuel, hydrogen will cause bursting, and therefore ये major challenge of hydrogen cells. Otherwise it is very good. What is the output? Water vapor, water, no carbon dioxide. Therefore we call this energy as a clean energy. But what is the problem? Storage. एक तो it requires huge space, so cars के लिए काम का नहीं है, बस के लिए काम का है. दूसरा है highly combustible. Second है lithium ion batteries. लिथियम आयन बैटरीज के साथ प्रॉब्लम है, सेल लाइफ अगर चेंज हो गई तो मोटरोला, Xiaomi जैसे आईफोन कुछ भी ब्लास्ट हो सकता है. सो इमेजिन व्हाट विल हैपन इफ द कार विल ब्लास्ट. सो दिस इज द मेजर चैलेंज. प्रीलिम्स के लिए बस इतना. आगे मेंस के लिए इलेक्ट्रिक फ्यूल पॉलिसी ऑफ इंडिया, क्या उसके चैलेंजेस है, क्या उसके डिसएडवांटेजेस या एडवांटेजेस है. फाइन. देन आफ्टर पेरिस दे मेट इन बॉन. सो बॉन में जैसे वहां पे इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस, वैसे बॉन में देयर वाज अ अलायंस अगेंस्ट कोल. That is a global alliance against coal. Who led it? UK and Canada. UK and the Canada were the two countries who led the global alliance against coal. कुछ खास नहीं हुआ. उसमें एक डायलॉग था, तालानोआ डायलॉग. That is the तालानोआ dialogue, which says about cooperation between the countries, not the confrontation between the countries. For the first time, gender and tribes and the small island nations were included in this climate summit. Then and lastly Katowice. Katowice में कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. Fine. So एक Katowice agreement हुआ जिसमें they said yes, maybe we'll give voice to the small nations. So Katowice पे nothing for the prelims except one alliance. What is the name of the alliance? एक Katowice में एक alliance आया था. It said we have setting the high standards in the world. कोई अलायंस नहीं हुआ कैटोविस में. इट इज द अलायंस विच सेज दैट यस वी आर गोइंग टू गिव हाई कमिटमेंट्स. क्या कह रहा है? उसने कोई कमिटमेंट नहीं दिया. ही सेइंग वी आर गोइंग टू गिव हाई कमिटमेंट्स फ्रॉम इन द नियर फ्यूचर. सो दैट इज अलायंस, हाई स्टैंडर्ड अलायंस दैट हैज कम इन द Katowice. बाकी कुछ काम का नहीं Katowice. What is important? Because Katowice was focusing only on the big nations and the fight between the developed and the developing nations on Green Climate Fund, that is the transfer of money. एक first time in the world on the sidelines of Katowice came the first virtual summit on the climate change, which was chaired by Marshall Island. So what is this Marshall Island? Marshall Island is a small tiny island in the Pacific. Hawaii के just नीचे is the Marshall Islands. क्यों small summit, virtual summit? क्योंकि उन्होंने keyword दिया था. The motto of that summit was what we are facing now you will face in the future. What they are facing now is the rise in the sea level and submergence. So what we are going to face in the future is the rise of sea level and submergence. So this is the basic idea, and this is how your approach should be for the studying the environment and ecology. Don't worry too much about mains. Abhi I guess nobody is worrying much about the mains, but यहाँ पे what we should be focusing. अब national level पे क्या क्या changes आए हैं? The wetland management rules have been changed. E-waste management rules have been changed. Biomedical waste management rules have been changed. So ये changes हमें करने हैं. और एक जो मुझे इस साल लग रहा है, it is the coastal regulatory zone management rules which have been changed. So this is the entire journey of the environment and ecology with some definitions, with some examples, because इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा पूछे जाएंगे examples. Fine with this? And on some day I will ask you to bring बायोलॉजी एनसीईआरटी ऑफ क्लास 12th, उसकी ऑनलाइन कॉपी भी चल जाएगी, बिकॉज व्हाट इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट, मुझे वो चैप्टर्स नहीं चाहिए, मुझे उससे पहले के 2 चैप्टर्स चाहिए. व्हाट इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट इज लास्ट 4 चैप्टर्स विच वी डू वेरी वेल इन द क्लास. उससे पहले का 2 चैप्टर्स विच इज applications of biotechnology in the agriculture. Maybe Santosh sir has covered that. So there is no need applications of biotechnology in the agriculture. These are the 2 chapters जिसमें हर साल 2 questions आएंगे in the prelims. What do you mean by transgenic? What will be coming in the transgenic, etc. So first we'll start with ecosystem and ecology. Subject is interesting because it will give you a different perspective of what you are thinking right now. And global warming and climate change में effects of global warming, effects of climate change, El Nino, La Nina, वो हमने already इसमें किया है. Ocean acidification, we have done this in geography. Fine with this? So El Nino, La Nina हम यहाँ पे नहीं करेंगे. We have finished that. The ocean acidification and उसका impact, we have finished that. I will quickly revise MCQ के through what is meant by ocean acidification. So I have, you got the MCQs? So give me one. चलो जो मैंने अभी डिस्कस किया उसमें से टेल मी द आंसर फॉर द सेकंड क्वेश्चन. What is the answer? Kyoto Protocol. That is the concept of carbon credit has come from the Kyoto Protocol. Question number 120. मेरे लिए भी एक ले आना. So, सत्यमंगलम टाइगर रिजर्व क्या है? अ जंक्शन बिटवीन द ईस्टर्न घाट्स एंड द वेस्टर्न घाट्स. नल्लमला फॉरेस्ट रिजर्व क्या है? ईस्टर्न घाट्स. नागरहोल वेस्टर्न घाट्स एंड शेषाचलम तिरुपति ईस्टर्न घाट्स. शेषाचलम इज तिरुपति ईस्टर्न घाट्स आंध्र प्रदेश में. ठीक है. सो ये जब भी जो भी आप क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करोगे इन दिस, स्पेशली इन दिस सब्जेक्ट एंड इन साइंस, so you should ask why the other are not the answers. उसके right answers भी पता होनी चाहिए of the other things here. Getting it? Question number 115. The term M stripes. Answer is B. Question number 116. Any doubts here? Recently there was a proposal to translocate some of the lions from the natural habitat in Gujarat to which of the following sites? Answer is B. Kunau Palpur Wildlife Sanctuary. Where is Corbett? Tarai region of which river? Of Ramganga. कुनाव पालपुर वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी कहाँ पे? मध्य प्रदेश. कौन सा मध्य प्रदेश का अनदर वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी इज इन द न्यूज? नूरादेही वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी. क्यों? फॉर रिलोकेशन ऑफ चीता. कौन सा और न्यूज में था? कोई और नाम ले रहा था. पेंच. पेंच पिछले साल था न्यूज में. वो उसमें से अब क्या क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे पेंच में से? कान्हा पेंच में क्वेश्चन ही नहीं बचा है। पन्ना का एक क्वेश्चन बचा है, दैट इज द लिंकिंग पे। पेंच पे क्या क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे वो? सतपुराज में है, आपको पता है, फाइन। वहां पे मैन ईटिंग टाइगर्स हो रहे, ये भी आपको पता है। व्हाट इज द रिमेनिंग? पेंच रिवर वहां से जाती है, कोई रीलोकेशन नहीं है वहां पे, फाइन। सो करंट में तो हर कोई होगा। आज के भी इसमें मधुमलाई टाइगर रिजर्व है, दिसंबर में भी था मधुमलाई टाइगर रिजर्व। क्या पूछेंगे मधुमलाई में से? सो यू शुड थिंक, आस्क योरसेल्फ कि इसमें से क्या पूछ सकते। कुछ अलग नहीं है तो कुछ नहीं पूछेंगे। मधुमलाई इसमें भी है, फाइन। वेयर इट इज? तमिलनाडु, केरला। व्हाई इट इज इन द न्यूज? It is in the news for two things. Note down there itself. Is it fine with this? You will be able to relocate. It is in the news because of two things. One is forest fires, for natural forest fires due to invasive alien species such as eucalyptus, Pleurophoris juliflora and wattle. क्वेश्चन नंबर 118 मैंने पढ़ाया भी नहीं, पढ़ाऊंगा भी नहीं, लॉजिक से सॉल्व करो। यू ऑलरेडी नो ऑल दिस थ्री एनिमल्स। ये तीनों के हमने फोटो देखे हैं in the PPTs, and these PPTs were regarding the IUCN red list category, means they were threatened. So the answer will be all of the above. Fine. Government will not allow you to hunt any of this the animals. But देखो क्वेश्चन कैसा है? As per the Wildlife Protection Act, which of the following animals cannot be hunted by any person except under the some provisions of the law? So that is just to confuse you, except under the some provisions of the law. Obviously there will be, if that ghadial is coming to eat you, you are allowed to hunt in self defense. So the answer is 1, 2, 3. Question number 119. If you want to see the ghadials in their natural habitat, which one of the following is the best place to visit? Chambal. If you want to see Indian saltwater crocodile in their natural habitat, which is the best place to visit? Answer then will be A, Bhitarkanika. Fine. If you want to see pelicans in their best, पुलिकट फेस्टिवल, पेलिकन फेस्टिवल कहाँ पे है? आंध्रा। क्यों? पुलिकट लेक पे। सो पुलिकट लेक, पेलिकन्स। एंड दीपुर बिल आसाम किसके लिए फेमस है? नथिंग स्पेसिफिक फॉर एनिमल, इट इज मोर फेमस फॉर एज अ रामसर साइट. दीपुर बिल इज अ रामसर साइट इन आसाम. Question number 107. Protection of Western Ghats. Question number 108. GK based question. BEE रेटिंग किस पे दिखेगा? यहां दिख रहा है BEE रेटिंग? यस. तो किस किस पे दिखेगा? सारे इलेक्ट्रिक अप्लायंसेस पे. सो आंसर इज ऑल ऑफ द अबव. अब रिमेंबर, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस अगर आते हैं XYZ ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स, आंसर जनरल विल बी ऑल ऑफ द अबव. क्वेश्चन नंबर 109. You can solve it only by one technique, technique of elimination. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज इट अ पोल्यूटेंट? नो. सो जिस मैंने आपको ये पूछा भी था क्लास में, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज नॉट अ पोल्यूटेंट, इट इज ऑन द एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स. सो उसमें कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कभी मॉनिटर नहीं करेंगे, हमने ये क्लाइमेट में किया है. सो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कैंसिल करो, एक ही ऑप्शन बचता है, आंसर इज बी. 2, 3 and 4. Why not methane? Methane is also not a pollutant, it is more like a natural gas. Fine. Question number 100. We'll first do जो questions तुम्हें पता है. But bring this every day to the class, okay? When was Paris Agreement? 2015. उसका क्या नाम है? United Nations Conference on Climate Change. It includes all the members. आज भी नहीं है all the members. So उस समय obviously it was not there. Question number 93. अभी आजकल ऐसे क्वेश्चन नहीं आएंगे. क्यों बी क्यों होगा? WTO हम इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ रहे हैं या एनवायरमेंट इकोलॉजी? आंसर विल बी ए. It is a United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, not an IPCC, not C, not a conference on Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, because Rio Plus 20 कॉन्फ्रेंस में 3 अलग अलग डॉक्यूमेंट्स बाहर निकले थे. One was climate change, one was biodiversity, one was desertification. So therefore sustainable development, बर्टलैंड के बाद. ठीक है. Use logic to solve question number 94. Now what is the logic? देखो, कोई भी fund is not to developed nations, it is for developing nation only. Fine. और कोई भी fund is under World Bank. It is intended to assist the developing countries in adaptation and mitigation practices to counter climate change. True or false? True. It is founded under the aegis of UNEP. ठीक है, हो सकता है. अब OECD कहाँ से आया है इसमें? Organization of Economically Developed Countries. Asian Development Bank क्यों आया? सिर्फ एशिया में हो रहा है climate change? नहीं, World Bank. So answer is wrong क्योंकि it is only World Bank. Yes. ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में काम करना अलग है. किसके अंडर है? किसके अंडर है? तो सिर्फ वर्ल्ड बैंक के अंडर. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन देखो, जब भी कोई हेल्प होगा, फॉर एग्जांपल बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व अंडर द यूनेस्को, बट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट भी हेल्प करेगा, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट भी हेल्प करेगा, वो अलग है. इन्होंने पूछा इट इज फाउंडेड अंडर हुम? It is founded under Global Environment Facility. And who manages the Global Environment Facility? World Bank. So understood? Question number 90. 91 तो it's so simple, so I will not even discuss that. Answer is C. 91 is C. Question number 90. With reference to dugong, a mammal found in India, which of the following is correct? Herbivorous? Yes, sea cow. Fine. Found along the entire coast of India? नहीं, जहाँ corals है वहीं पे. So second 2 goes. 2 जाते ही A and B चला जाता है. So answer should be between C and D. अब खुद को पूछो which is the most important, मतलब कौन सा होना चाहिए. Use this technique for solving the question. So you have a choice left between C and D. Now in this case you should know what is actually right also, compulsorily. 1 तो is obviously right. So is there an option only 1 only? No. So the answer is 1 and 3. It is given legal protection under the schedule 1. Yes. जो भी हम एनिमल्स पढ़ेंगे they all are protected under the schedule 1. Fine. Question number 88. What is केबुल लाम जाओ? I told you that time कि geography इतना बड़ा नहीं है, उसमें I had discussed many things regarding environment. Fine, that is why you could answer so many questions अभी. केबुल लाम जाओ famous for Sangai, Loktak Lake. Question number 85. Teak मतलब deciduous. अब it can be moist, it can be dry deciduous, but teak wood will be deciduous. Tropical rainforest का अगर कोई पूछते तो what they would have asked? They would have asked इबोनी कभी नहीं पूछेंगे, mahogany कभी नहीं पूछेंगे, rosewood कभी नहीं पूछेंगे, bamboo पूछेंगे, and living root bridges पूछेंगे. Nothing else. Their focus is there, living root bridges and bamboo. Tropical rainforest. Living root bridges in which state? In the state of Meghalaya. Bamboo used as a drip irrigation in which state? In Meghalaya. So bamboo has a drip irrigation in Meghalaya and both living root bridges in Meghalaya. Question number 81. हमने इतने बार किया है ये. Arunachal 400 centimeters of rainfall and therefore from tropical to subtropical to temperate to Arctic. This question is difficult. Why? Because if you read the books, Kanchenjunga में भी दिया है, नंदा देवी में भी दिया है, नेवरा वैली में नहीं है obviously because we don't have. Where is Nevra Valley? West Bengal. So नाम डफा, but why the answer is कोई नहीं, common answer है, you don't have to get surprised. नेवरा वैली is common, so you don't have to get surprised. उसने ऐसे देखा कि I'll shoot her. एक competition खत्म. So one is the Nevra Valley. And then Namdafa. But here you have to be very very specific क्योंकि उन्होंने tropical to subtropical पूछा है. So ये questions difficult में आता है. So if you are not sure, अभी तो you are very sure, but याद रखना ऐसा अगर कोई भी question आता है, you have to go to northeast, right? Not to the western part of India. Question number 80. We have discussed in the sedimentary rocks. Question number 80. फिर से बार read it very properly. Both methane, shale gas, that is चाहे coal bedded methane हो या shale gas हो या natural gas हो, it is nothing but pure methane. Natural gas is methane. Fine. And India में do we have shale gas reserves? Yes, 6 areas. Now with this, coal bedded methane is a pure methane gas extracted from coal seams. Yes. While shale gas is a mixture of propane, butane only. Nahi. Shale gas is also pure methane from the sedimentary rocks. The only difference between the gas hydrates, have I taken gas hydrates, coal bed methane and the shale gas के बीच का difference? Coal bedded methane below the coal fields, Gondwana rocks के नीचे methane gas मिलेगा तो coal bedded methane. If we find in the sedimentary rocks of shale methane gas, it is shale gas. Hydraulic fracturing. If we find it on the continental shelf at the depth of 500 meters or more as locked in water molecules, it is gas hydrates. Fine. So I have taken this in the QEP. मैं फिर से इसमें लूँगा gas hydrates. तीनों में एक है natural gas, that is methane. Fine. So इसलिए first statement is wrong. Propane and butane LPG में होता है, not in natural gas. अपने घर में होता है gas cylinders में, not in the natural gas. In India, abundant coal bed methane exists, yes, but so far no shale gas has been found. Wrong. So the answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? सो एक चीज अभी के लिए वहां पे इतना याद रखना, ऑल गैस हाइड्रेट्स, कोल बेटेड मीथेन एज वेल एज the shale gas is nothing but pure natural gas, that is methane. Methane is a natural gas. Fine with this? Question number 77. Lichens, I guess I have not told you in the class. बताया lichens? Lichens, सबसे पहले आज रोटी बाहर रखो, उसके ऊपर फंगस आएगा. After 2 days, the fungus will become green in color. Why? Because it is lichens. Because रोटी का nutrition खत्म, so fungus goes into symbiotic association with algae, so that algae will manufacture the food and fungus उसको जगह देगा. That symbiotic association between algae and fungus is lichens. What is the answer? B. Between algae and fungus is lichens. ठीक है? Question number 76. कोई नहीं पढ़ा पाएगा? Logic. जो भी एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट्स है वो कट हो जाएंगे. Have you solved this? See, I am reading this now. इन्होंने ये एक साइंटिफिक ऐसा एक कंडीशन दिया है जो हर साल एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है, बिकॉज दिस डज नॉट हैव क्वेश्चंस ऑफ लास्ट 2 years एंड दिस आर टिल 2016. 17-18 के क्वेश्चंस इसमें बाकी है. See, you should remember one thing, कि extreme statements you have to be extra careful. So third is an extreme statement, all the global wetlands will permanently disappear. No. Why? Because if हमारे यहाँ का global wetlands will disappear, Arctic will melt and it will become a wetland. Fine? Antarctic will melt and it will become a wetland. So statement 3 is wrong. Cultivation of cereals will not be possible anywhere in the world. Why so? नहीं. 3 डिग्री सेल्सियस से अगर टेम्परेचर राइज हुआ तो एक तो वेटलैंड्स पे कोई ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. देयर विल बी न्यू वेटलैंड्स व्हिच विल बी क्रिएटेड इन टेम्परेट रीजन्स. एंड सीरियल्स, फूड क्रॉप्स, इट हैज़ व्हीट, इट हैज़ जवार, इट हैज़ बाजरा, इट हैज़ राइस, एवरीथिंग. सो इफ ट्रॉपिक्स में एग्रीकल्चर इज नॉट पॉसिबल, एग्रीकल्चर विल बी पॉसिबल इन टेम्परेट. फाइन. सो जो द स्टेटमेंट जिसमें 3 and 4 है, दैट कैंसल्स. वाइड स्प्रेड कोरल ब्लीचिंग विल ऑकर, यस. टेरेस्ट्रियल बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व, ये थोड़ा टेक्निकल लाइन है विच विल राइट लेटर ऑन. टेरेस्ट्रियल बायोस्फीयर टेंड्स टू बी ए नेट कार्बन सोर्स. इसका मतलब ये है, इफ द टेम्परेचर इंक्रीजेस ड्यू टू डिफॉरेस्टेशन, देयर विल बी लेस रिमूवल ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड मोर गिविंग ऑफ carbon dioxide. Therefore we say terrestrial biosphere reserve will become a net carbon source, which this is the line I will have to explain you later on. But iska answer right now is B. Question number 75. Why not national parks? See, this statement is the most important strategy for conservation of biodiversity. Key word है together with traditional human life. Together with humans is, so when you consider human and wildlife, it becomes biosphere reserve, because in wildlife sanctuaries and national parks, human interference is not allowed. Fine? Human national park में no human interference, wildlife sanctuary में limited human interference. It is the biosphere reserves which will have human interference plus conservation plus education plus logistics. So answer is biosphere reserve. We will do this. Why not botanical gardens? because they are not a good method of conservation, they are ex situ method of conservation. Question number 74. खुद को पूछो, टेरेस कल्टीवेशन इज अ कॉज ऑफ सॉइल इरोजन और सॉल्यूशन टू सॉइल इरोजन? सॉल्यूशन. सो वन शुड नॉट बी देयर. ट्रॉपिकल क्लाइमेट एंड सॉइल इरोजन का कोई लेना देना नहीं है. राइट? सो द आंसर इज ओनली डिफॉरेस्टेशन, दैट इज बी. Question number 71, we have done this. क्या हुआ? Question number 71. इंडियन ज्योग्राफी थोड़ा रिवाइज करो. इको सेंसिटिव जोन्स आर डिक्लेयर्ड अंडर द एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट, नॉट अंडर द वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट. वेस्टर्न घाट्स में लिखा है. फाइन. द पर्पस ऑफ इको सेंसिटिव जोन इज टू एक्ट देम एज अ बफर जोन, नॉट कि सिर्फ वहां पे एग्रीकल्चर होना चाहिए. सो द आंसर इज डी, नीदर 1 नॉर 2. ये वेस्टर्न घाट्स में लिखा है हमने इको सेंसिटिव जोन. दे आर अंडर द एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट. एंड क्या कंसेप्ट है इको सेंसिटिव जोन का? कि दे शुड एक्ट एज अ बफर जोन, कि एक्सेस जो पोल्यूशन वो सब है सराउंडिंग उनको अब्सॉर्ब कर पाए, नॉट फॉर ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज एक्सेप्ट एग्रीकल्चर. फाइन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 73. Coral reefs in all the places except Sundarbans. The answer is A. Question number 44. I hope so you will be able to understand this question. Soil erosion causes release of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because soil is broken and उसमें से जो carbon है it releases. So what are the methods of soil erosion? Zero tillage, relay cropping, counter bunding. So इससे soil erosion नहीं होगा and इसलिए इससे carbon emissions कम हो जाएंगे because carbon dioxide will be stored. So what is now the answer? Answer is C. 1, 2, 3. तीनों counter bunting, relay cropping, zero tillage is going to help in carbon sequestration, carbon storage. We'll come to that topic, carbon sequestration, separately. But you should remember how the questions are being framed, not directly. इसलिए मैं ये पहले questions discuss कर रहा हूँ. Counter bunding is doing the bunding or cultivation as per the slope of an agricultural land. So if this is a slope, if you do this way ploughing of the land, it will result into soil erosion. So you should do ploughing perpendicular so that soil रुक जाएगी यहाँ से and thus there is no erosion. टेरेस फार्मिंग में आएगा काउंटर बंडिंग. टेरेस फार्मिंग भी अगर होता है यहाँ पे तो आंसर टेरेस फार्मिंग भी होता. जो सॉइल इरोजन को बचाएगा दैट विल हेल्प इन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. क्वेश्चन नंबर 49. You have to see where is lion-tailed macaw found. Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats, where? Only Western Ghats. So what are the states in the Western Ghats? Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. So answer is A. Question number 43 नहीं पढ़ा है but logical है. Will global warming be a threat to biodiversity? Yes, because it will cause sixth mass extinction. Fragmentation of habitat, what do you mean by fragmentation? जो आजकल हो रहा है. If this is entire jungle, it is broken. Industrial town बन जाता है, it is broken. So this is what you mean by fragmentation. Yes. Invasion? Yes. Vegetarian? Veg अगर बन गए सब तो? Will it cause threat to biodiversity? Think again. No. Remember वहाँ पे promotion of vegetarianism is good for biodiversity as well as global warming. It will reduce the global warming. If all the people in the world turn veg, it will reduce food insecurity, it will reduce global warming, it will increase biodiversity. You do not eat biodiversity, you just eat boiler chicken. It is promoting monoculture, right? It is not promoting chicken की biodiversity नहीं बढ़ा रहा है, वो सिर्फ एक boiler chicken की population बढ़ा रहा है. Understanding? So that is, you don't eat biodiversity, you are not controlling biodiversity. Biodiversity तब control करते कि जो दिखा वो खा लिया. So that is not the case. Question number 25. We have done this. A sandy and saline area, मतलब run of Kutch. So run of Kutch में क्या है? Indian wild ass. Question number 25, Indian wild ass. Question number 30. Indian gazelle. Gazelle बहुत जगह है इंडिया में, सिर्फ वहाँ पे नहीं है. So ये और gazelle को predators है. देखो क्या पूछा है? A sandy and saline area is a natural habitat. The animal has no predators, but its existence is threatened due to destruction of habitat. मतलब salt mining. Which animal is this? So it is Indian wild ass. Indian gazelle को predator है, wolf है, leopard है, tiger है, predators है Indian gazelle. Question number 30, geography का ही question है. Biodiversity is normally greater at lower latitudes as compared to higher latitudes. Tropics से ज़्यादा temperate, temperate से ज़्यादा tundra. True or false? True. Greater biodiversity because heat and humidity is greater. So right. Along the mountains, slopes or gradients, biodiversity is normally greater at lower heights as compared to the higher heights. Yes, because जैसे ऊपर जाओगे तो temperature reduces. दोनों का logic same है. So the answer is C. Any doubts here? Everyone? Question number 20. We have done this question already. Two important rivers with its one source in Jharkhand and other with source in Orissa merge at a place near the coast. This is an important site of wildlife, biodiversity and protected area. Which one could be this? Answer is भितरकनिका. इतना डायरेक्टली हमने रिवर्स के नाम भी लिखे. कृष्णा गोदावरी नहीं. हाँ, तो महानदी कहाँ ओरिजिनेट होती है? छोटा नागपुर प्लाटू. देन इट पासेस थ्रू ओडिशा. 3 रिवर, 2 रिवर, महानदी, बैतरणी एंड ब्राह्मणी, ये 3 जब मिलती है तो इट इज भितरकनिका. उसमें से उन्होंने 2 पूछा है आपको. राइट. सिंपलीपाल. क्यों सिंपलीपाल? सिंपलीपाल तो ऊपर है. इट इज नॉट नियर द कोस्ट. हिंट भी दिया है उन्होंने, कोस्ट. तो कोस्ट, इट इज वेरी नियर द कोस्ट, शॉर्ट डिस्टेंस अवे फ्रॉम द कोस्ट. बैतरणी. महानदी. महानदी ओडिशा की मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रिवर है. ओरिजिन है छोटा नागपुर प्लाटू का हिल. चंदीपुरम सी एंड गोपालपुरम सी तो समंदर के अंदर है, तो वहां पे रिवर्स पहुंचेगी ही नहीं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 21 किया है. अगर आपने इंडियन ज्योग्राफी रिवाइज किया है वेस्टर्न घाट्स, तो यू नो द आंसर फॉर दिस. What is the criteria for biodiversity hotspots? There are 2 criteria. One is 1500 species of vascular plant as endemics and दूसरा threatened. So इसमें species richness नहीं. Species richness और species diversity अलग है, 2 चीजें. Vegetation density नहीं. Endemism हाँ. Threat perception yes. So the answer is 3 and 5 compulsorily. अब देखो 3 and 5 ओनली है, नहीं है. सो द व्हाट इज द ओनली रिमेनिंग ऑप्शन? 1, 3 एंड 5. दो क्राइटेरिया याद करो बायोडायवर्सिटी वर्ल्ड हॉटस्पॉट्स के. एंडेमिज्म विथ हाई डायवर्सिटी, सो 1 and 3, एंड सेकेंड इज थ्रेट परसेप्शन, दैट इज 5. Density can be there greater, but it can be monoculture. Question number 6. हुलॉक गिबन कहां पे है? नॉर्थ ईस्ट. सो द आंसर इज बी. श्योर. इज भितरकनिका नोन फॉर सॉल्ट वाटर क्रोकोडाइल? यस. डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क फॉर ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड. सो दिस इज हाउ योर बायोडाइवर्सिटी. तो हम फिर से आएंगे रिगार्डिंग द कन्वेंशंस, एनजीटी और ये सब जो बचा हुआ है. But these are the questions which will be geography based from the biodiversity. What is ecology? What is ecology? What do you mean by eco? That is ecosystem. Logy means study, and eco means house. Eco means home. So you can take down the word ecology. The word ecology was coined by, ये नाम याद रखने पड़ेंगे, Ernst Haeckel, was coined by Ernst Haeckel. And it is a branch of biology that's a branch of biology that studies organizations in their environment. Studies organizations in their environment. So when we are studying anything, we will be organizing them in different levels. And when we organize them in different levels, this is how the organization is. You can draw this along with me. So when we study any organization, it is made up of cells. Cells will make tissue. Tissues will make organs. Organs will make organism. Organism belonging to the same group are species. Species will come under population. Genes कैसे आएंगे? Genes, population will come under community. Community will come under ecosystem. Ecosystem will come under biomes. Biomes is a small part which will come under a very smaller part which will support life, that is biosphere. Biosphere will come under Earth. Under the Goldilocks zone. So you already know what is Goldilocks zone. A habitable zone, a narrow but habitable zone in the entire universe, or a habitable zone in outer space away from the Earth. Fine. You already know what is Earth: lithosphere, biosphere, oceanosphere, hydrosphere and climatosphere. अब जहाँ पे in the top of the crust, in the troposphere and in the photic zone, जहाँ पे तीनों will coexist, that is जहाँ पे life can exist, is biosphere. In the biosphere, when the climatic zones are separated by definite boundaries, that is biomes. कुछ मत लिखो. In the biomes where there is an interaction that occurs between the biotic and the abiotic components along with the surroundings, it is ecosystem. In the ecosystem, members of different population will coexist, and that is community. In the community, there will be members belonging to the same species, and they are known as population. And then there is a species. Baki ka is bio. Right? So we'll start with species. with the species. When the members having similar genetic makeup, when the members having similar genetic makeup, who can interbreed and produce a fertile offspring, who can interbreed and produce a fertile offspring, are known as species. Are known as species. Who can interbreed and produce a fertile offspring are known as species. Now based on this, there are some kind of the species जिनके definition we should know. सबसे important is the keystone species. Can someone tell me what is a keystone species? In simple words, if the keystone species disappears, entire ecosystem will collapse. Entire life in that biome or ecosystem will disappear. So the species which is don't write anything. Species which is very, very important for the entire ecosystem to survive is known as a keystone species. For example, can we say human beings are a keystone species? Suppose if we disappear from the earth today, what will happen? Will the other organisms collapse? No. But if the plants disappear? Yes. If the plants disappear, pura food chain will be erupted. If tigers disappear from the jungle, will they have any impact? Suppose if tigers or lions disappear from the jungle, what will happen? Most of the top level predators are the keystone species. If this top level predators die or become extinct, the entire ecosystem will collapse. Because if the tigers disappear, there will be no threat to the wolves or to the leopards. Unka population will increase in number. As unka population will increase in number, they will start eating more of an herbivorous animals. Ultimately, itne herbivorous animals khatam ho jayenge ki there will be no herbivorous animals for the wolf to eat, and ultimately they will die because of hunger. Now suppose if all this herbivorous, if there is only tiger, herbivorous animal and the plants in the jungle, so in that case, if the tiger disappears, there will be so much growth of the herbivorous animals, that is the predators disappear, there will be so much growth of the herbivorous animals, the herbivorous animals will eat the entire forest and destroy the biodiversity, and ultimately the forest will collapse. Second example of a keystone species, vulture. The death of vultures in India has been linked to largest number of rabies in India. Why? Because vultures used to eat the dead and decomposed organisms. When the vultures started dying, the dead and decomposed organisms were being eaten by dogs. These dogs used to mix with the domestic dogs, and thus the domestic dog cause virus, that is the rabies causing virus. Vultures ko nahi hota tha rabies causing virus because vultures ke stomach mein ek acid hai which will destroy that virus. So over the period of time, जितने भी मैं stories बताऊंगा अच्छी तरह से याद रखना, because many stories will help you in solving the questions. ये indirect questions देखा आपने कितने nature है. How much is the nature of this indirect questions in this? So the vultures, with the death of vultures, the virus came to the domestic dogs, and domestic dogs it came to the humans, and thus the death of vultures in India is responsible for largest number of rabies death in India in the world. वर्ल्ड में सबसे ज़्यादा रैबिस से इंडिया में डेथ है, एंड देयर इज नो क्योर टू रैबिस बिकॉज देयर इज नो क्योर टू कफ एंड कोल्ड, देयर इज नो क्योर टू वायरल डिजीजेस, एंड दोज हु आर वायरल डिजीजेस, ऑल द रैबिस इज एन वायरल डिजीज. द बेस्ट स्टोरी ऑफ द कीस्टोन स्पीसीज इज, वी हैव डन so many times Yellowstone National Park, USA. Now, people in the Yellowstone National Park, surrounding this Yellowstone National Park, they killed the wolves that were there in the Yellowstone National Park. And ultimately, that entire Yellowstone National Park became a desert. Now, after too much of money being spent in the revival of the Yellowstone National Park, जब कुछ नहीं हुआ तो कुछ एक आदमी ने कहा, let us reintroduce the wolves that were present in the Yellowstone National Park. Maybe कुछ उनमें good human spirit हो, good spirit हो, and इसीलिए wolf may be the lord of the jungle. जैसे superstitions के कारण, they introduced the 8 wolves in the Yellowstone National Park. With the introduction of 8 wolves in the Yellowstone National Park, which was the top level predator, I am telling you how it originated, keystone species, which was the top level predator. Within 25 years, Yellowstone National Park is back to the glory कि Jurassic Park की वहाँ shooting हो पाई. This is how the Yellowstone National Park. Why? Because in the absence of wolf, the biggest animal, there was no threat to the reindeer, that is to the deer population over there. The deer population, which was not at all threatened, because of the wolf, they used to run from one place to another. Now there was no threat, they used to sit in one place. Because they used to sit in one place, they used to eat even the most smallest of the grass which was grown. पहले क्या होता था, वुल्फ आते ही वो भागते थे और वुल्फ को नहीं दिखना चाहिए, इसलिए they used to hide in the tallest grasses and उसी को खाते थे, giving enough time for the young grasses to become tall. अब they started eating the smallest of the grasses. Because of the smallest of the grasses, they started eating the grasses from that region lost. Secondly, because of the grasses not there, the speed of the wind increased. Because the speed of the wind increased, the seeds which were should to fall in the Yellowstone National Park, they started blowing away. And thus there were no trees in the Yellowstone National Park. No new trees. As there were no new trees in the Yellowstone National Park, धीरे से butterflies disappeared, धीरे से insects disappeared, and because there were no butterflies and insects, there was no cross-pollination. Because there was no cross-pollination, there was no the genetic variety, and there was more diseases among the plants. In fact, even the deer population started getting cholesterol, diabetes and blood pressure like diseases because there was no exercise in the deer population. Because of tiger or wolf, there was large amount of exercise happening. They used to run from one place to another. Ultimately, trees nahi, birds nahi, koi animals nahi, and thus जो भी rivers थी, they started disappearing in the Yellowstone National Park. Why? Because there was no moisture for the rainfall to occur, और जो भी rainfall होता था soil erosion से it used to go away, and ultimately beaver animal disappeared. When the 8 wolves were reintroduced, they started eating the deer population, and if there was enough time for the grasses to grow, with the grasses to grow, shrubs started growing because seeds गिरने लग गए. With the shrubs coming, insects came back. When the insects come back, cross-pollination hua and the trees started coming. Birds came back. With the birds coming back and the trees coming back, burrowing animals again came back from the surrounding region. With the burrowing animals coming back, they started burrowing the land, digging the land, increasing the soil fertility. When they started increasing the soil fertility, ultimately within 10-15 years, the jungle became dense and the water ka speed started reducing. Rainfall started increasing, water ka speed started reducing, and thus the level of water increased. When the trees coming back, an animal known as beaver came back. And what is that beaver known for? Beaver is known for making dams. उसकी आदत है beaver की, किसी भी पेड़ को तोड़ेगा और river के opposite लगा देगा. It makes a natural dams. जो हम बनाते हैं, beaver makes natural dams which will stop the flow of water. Thus the flow of water stopped. Ultimately the ground level increased, underground water increased, and Yellowstone National Park was back to its glory. इसलिए government is focusing on Project Tiger. इसलिए government is focusing on Project Lion. इसलिए cheetah reintroduction, because the top level predators are the keystone species. If the top level predators die, the entire ecosystem vanishes. Insects and honeybees are the keystone species. If the insects and the honeybees die, there is no cross-pollination. Therefore, biodiversity decreases, and because there is no biodiversity, there is sudden increase in the infections. And thus, insects and honeybees are also known as the keystone species. Fine? Human being is an invasive species. We are not a keystone species. We are causing destruction of an ecosystem. But आपके घर के अंदर honeybee, insects, all these are the keystone species. If the insects do not survive on the land, the entire jungles will collapse. You have one question which I did not discuss regarding this in 2015. What will happen if the honeybee का population? So ये सब questions कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? right from our definitions, keystone species का. Fine. So definition of a keystone species. Again I am saying सबसे पहले notes, उसके बाद जो कुछ करना है वो you can say experience is such कि I can tell कि कहाँ से questions आने वाले हैं और कैसे questions आने वाले हैं regarding rather than doing the irrespective, that is there is no need of bigger books. Bigger books जब teacher बनना है तब पढ़ना. There is no need of passing the examination with the bigger books. Fine. Next. So you can take down the keystone species. Some of the species have disproportionately larger effect. On the communities in which they occur. Disproportionately larger effect on the communities in which they occur. This species determine the ability of large number of other species in the community to survive. Large number of other species in the community to survive. If such species disappear, it could lead to the extinction of other species. It could lead to the extinction of other species. Such important species are known as keystone species. Such as important species are known as the keystone species. Example 1. All the top level predators are an examples of the keystone species. Example is all the top level predators. So tiger, tell me yes or no? Yes. Lion? Yes. Cheetah? Yes. Elephant is an important keystone species. In tropical rainforest. Is a keystone species in the tropical rainforest. क्यों है एलिफेंट कीस्टोन स्पीसीज? जिसको लिखना है लिखो, नहीं लिखना है तो एलिफेंट कैसे पॉलिनेशन? Pollination is not that important, but yes, see, tropical evergreen forest में there is no space for this. Elephant cannot, especially the tusker, पूरा elephant नहीं, tusker जो main elephant है, उसकी आदत क्या है? अकेले घूमने की. उसके पीछे क्या होता है? tusker के पीछे पूरी झुंड आती है. Fine. So the tusker when it walks, the problem of the tusker is उसको बीच में एक भी पेड़ पसंद नहीं है. So whatever the tree that comes in between, it will uproot and throw it away. So the tusker will uproot the tree and throw it away, and the rest of the herd will come and stomp on that tree. And as a result of this, they will destroy the seeds and trees and thus clear the land, which is used by tigers and other animals to walk in the forest. Not all the animals can climb on the trees. Secondly, because the elephants will always live in the group, big group. It is a social animal. So in somewhere in between जहाँ उसको रहना है, it will clear the entire patch of the forested land. दूसरा, रहने के बाद elephant को आदत है to play with the mud. It likes to play with the mud. So over the period of time, it will dig a land deep and start playing with the mud, which becomes a lake soon after the rainfall. And surrounding that lake, pura jungle ke animals will survive, including the tiger, including the lion, whatever is present, it will be using that lake as a source of water. So therefore, elephant is a keystone species because it clears the path and makes lakes in the jungle. Fine with this? Fine? Second example, corals. Corals. Why? Because they form an important part of ocean food chain. Because they form a very important part of ocean food chain and supports very high biodiversity in the oceans. And supports very high biodiversity in the oceans. इतना याद रखना, जिस जिस नाम पे हमारे इंडिया में प्रोजेक्ट है, प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर, प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट एक्सेट्रा, ऑल आर keystone species of that entire ecosystem. Third, that is, sorry, first is top level predators, second elephant, third corals, fourth is insects and honeybees. Insects and honeybees. Insects and honeybees, because they engage in cross pollination, which increases the genetic and species diversity. They engage in cross pollination, which increases the genetic and biodiversity, genetic and species diversity, and prevents occurrence of diseases. Prevents the occurrence of diseases. Prevents the occurrence of diseases. Wild, last example, wild durian tree. Wild durian tree, which is endemic only to Western Ghats. Wild durian tree, which is endemic only to the Western Ghats, and is a keystone species because it attracts insects, birds, reptiles, monkeys, attracts insects, birds, reptiles, monkeys, and thus supports the Western Ghats ecosystem. Supports the Western Ghats ecosystem. Supports the Western Ghats ecosystem. Fine? So keystone species. Indicator species. Indicator species. What do you mean by indicator species? Indicator species. चूहे अगर बहुत ज्यादा है इस रूम में तो इसका मतलब क्या है? चूहे अगर ज्यादा है इस रूम में, suppose if there are more mouse or cockroaches in this room, what does it indicate? It indicates that hygiene is not maintained in this room. Somebody must be eating tiffin and putting up the lift over this thing. And उसके बाद it indicates कि class के बाद साफ सफाई अच्छी तरह से नहीं हो रही है. So any species that indicates the presence or absence of certain conditions in an ecosystem are known as indicator species. इस साल current affairs में there will be a question on the indicator species, most probably because of the frogs. Frogs are an example of indicator species, and most of the frogs have disappeared. What does the disappearance of the frogs indicate? The disappearance of the frogs does not indicate more snakes. It indicates there is no water left, fresh water left. It indicates there is too much concretization. It indicates that wetlands are disappearing. Why? How the frogs are born? The male and female frog will lay the egg just before the arrival of monsoons in India on the leaf. And that leaf is selected in such a way that leaf will band ho jayegi wo leaf khud ba khud, and thus it will protect the egg and make the egg warm. As soon as the first drops of the rain come, along with the rainfall, the frog ka eggs will start falling down, and they will survive because niche pani jamega, as there is mud below. As they survive, the larva will be born inside the water, and thus the frogs will propagate. What has happened in the recent times? There is no mud left. Everything has become concrete. There is no natural tanks which are formed, and thus there are no frogs. Niche girte hi concrete disappear. There are no leaves left for them to survive. Even if the water is getting waterlogged, then that water is getting waterlogged in the cities, not in the villages. And which ultimately indicates that there is no water left. याद रखना, in the area जहाँ पे frogs disappear, उसके 2 साल बाद that area becomes drought prone. This has been a scientific study कि frogs जिस area से disappear होते हैं, after 2 years that area becomes a drought prone region. Such a species, one of the best example of an indicator species. The second example of indicator species is crow or vultures. जिसके ऊपर vultures और crow ज़्यादा है, उसका मतलब है कि उस city में garbage बहुत ज़्यादा है. Example दिल्ली. Look at the sky. So हमें WHO की रिपोर्ट के लिए नहीं रुकना पड़ता, हमें पहले से ही पता था कि दिल्ली is polluted. अब वो सिर्फ it comes as an international ये, क्यों? क्योंकि waste disposal ही नहीं है दिल्ली में. Delhi has become a mess. You go and see the streets of Delhi. What are the options? Cycle rickshaw, e-rickshaw, bus, tum-tum services, auto rickshaw, Uber, Ola, and then blue line, yellow line, and और कौन सी line है. Obviously it will become a mess. इतना ज़्यादा भी choice नहीं होना चाहिए लोगों के लिए. Fine? Otherwise it will become a mess. So this is what is happening to Delhi. So एक उसका reason क्या है? Too much of an open policy. See, rightist, leftist छोड़ो. You have to first think about the national interest. Too much of an open policy will destroy the country. आके कोई भी settle हो जाए. Fine? So you can take down indicator species. Is the one whose presence or absence or abundance reflects a specific environmental condition. Specific environmental conditions. And the indicator species will serve as an early warning mechanism. They will serve as early warning mechanism or signals. Early warning mechanism or signals. Because they are sensitive. Because they are sensitive to environmental conditions. And hence they are known as sentinel species. Hence they are known as sentinel species. Hence they are known as sentinel species. They serve as early warning mechanism or signals because they are sensitive to environmental conditions. Hence they are known as sentinel species. Sentinel because they are sensitive. Again I am warning, पहले 3 lectures में, rather than my notes, what examples I tell, they are very, very important. what stories I tell, they are very important. Fine. They are known as sentinel species. Example, frog. Example, frog are indicators of moisture and water vapor present in the atmosphere. Moisture and water vapor present in the atmosphere. In India, in the last decade, 32 species of frog have become extinct. 32 species of frog have become extinct. See, imagine your childhood days. After rainfall, there used to be smell, and then frog का voice. कुछ नहीं है, ना smell है, ना frog का voice है. Indicates, and then आजकल हम पढ़ते हैं India is under water stress. Getting it? Second example. ये सारे examples कभी ना भी question में आएंगे. Lichens, which is a symbiotic association between algae and fungus. This has been a past year question, so you know where to focus. Between algae and fungus is an indicatory species of acid rain. Crow, rats, unhygienic conditions. Fine. Crow, rats. सबसे अच्छे चूहे कहाँ देखने मिलेंगे? On New Delhi railway station. Fine. Indicates that the state of railway tracks in India. Fine. Crow, rats, etc. That is the waste management का indication. इंडिकेटिव स्पीसीज देखो, डेली लाइफ एग्जांपल से ही रिवाइज करते रहना. राजेंद्र नगर में जितने भी मोमो स्टॉल्स है, उसके आसपास आपको कुत्ते बहुत ज्यादा मिलेंगे. इंडिकेटिव स्पीसीज, जो भी चिकन के स्टॉल्स है, उसके आसपास आपको कुत्ते ज्यादा मिलेंगे. एनीवेयर इंडिकेटिव स्पीसीज, दे शोज क्यों कुत्ते ज्यादा है, बिकॉज दे थ्रो द बोन्स. सो इंडिकेटिव स्पीसीज, दिस ऑल आर इंडिकेटर. जरूरी नहीं है आपको सिर्फ सोचना इन द टर्म्स ऑफ एनवायरमेंट एंड इकोलॉजी ओनली. But important, the most important line is all the top level predators such as tiger, snow leopard, are indicator species. Can you tell me why tiger is an indicator species? अगर tiger is healthy, that means entire forest ecosystem is healthy. क्योंकि tiger is getting enough food in the terms of animals. These animals are getting enough food in the terms of green grass. What does it indicate? अगर टाइगर बहुत दुबला पतला है, दैट मीन्स उसको अच्छा खाना नहीं मिल रहा है. क्यों अच्छा खाना नहीं मिल रहा है? मे बी द डियर या हर्बिवोरस एनिमल्स का पॉपुलेशन इज लेस. व्हाई इट कैन बी लेस? बिकॉज दे मे हैव माइग्रेटेड ड्यू टू एनवायरमेंटल डिग्रेडेशन. गेटिंग इट? सो द टॉप लेवल प्रेडिएटर्स आर कीस्टोन स्पीसीज, वो अलग है. दे आर ऑल्सो इंडिकेटर स्पीसीज बिकॉज द हेल्थ ऑफ दिस टॉप लेवल प्रेडिएटर्स विल डिटरमाइन व्हाट इज द हेल्थ ऑफ अ जंगल. So, जो environmentalist है, they don't look at the each and every part of the jungle. They will identify this top species and देखेंगे if they are healthy, if they are reproductive, that means the entire ecosystem is healthy. Snow leopard अगर कम है, that means nobody is going to kill the snow leopard in the top jungle. They were becoming extinct because chiru was becoming extinct. So हमारे ऊपर we focused on chiru also and we focused on snow leopard also. Fine with this? So that is what is the indicator species. In his village in Nazafgarh, there has been leopard. So what does it indicate? It indicates government ka afforestation policy is showing the right that leopard came 2000 kilometers walking from Aravallis and entered Delhi. 2 leopards which entered Delhi, one Nazafgarh, killed या surviving? पकड़ लिया उसको. So one that man animal conflict, one is still in the DU का jungles, it is still surviving. What does it indicate? Afforestation has been very proper. हमें forest report 2018 के लिए रुकना ही नहीं पड़ता. The amount of forest has increased in India. That is why ये leopard Aravalli से, राजस्थान से, कहीं से चलते चलते यहाँ पे आया in the search of water. He could get water. He knew there is a food available. वो आगे आगे दिल्ली तक पहुँचा. It did not come to join the UPSC coaching in Delhi. Fine. So it indicates that afforestation is occurring properly. Fine. So this is an indicator species. याद रखोगे? It indicates even the afforestation policies of the government. Fine with this? सबसे important examples lichens जो आ चुका है, frog जो आया हुआ नहीं है अभी तक. Fine with this? Then endemic species. You already know what are the endemic species. Species found only in a specific geographical locality or location. Species that are found only in a specific geographical location and not found anywhere else are known as endemic species. Are known as endemic species. In India, endemism is high in Western Ghats and Northeast. So you already know lion-tailed macaw, Nilgiri, Tahad, फिर Malabar, civet, नामदफा में flying squirrel, pygmy hog, Assam, entire Himalayas, red panda. Slow loris, slender loris. अब ये सब एक करंट का यहाँ पे एक ये तो कॉमन है. व्हाट इज द करंट स्पीसीज? हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस? वेयर? वेस्टर्न घाट्स में कहाँ पे? It is found only in 1 square kilometer area of Maharashtra. It is not found anywhere else. So Kondana rat. Kondana rat. It is endemic to Western Ghats. That is found only in the only in 1 square kilometer near Pune. In the Sinhagad Plateau, Pune. In the Sinhagad Plateau, Pune. It is critically endangered. It's critically endangered. It's critically endangered. Indian wild ass, endemic. Asiatic lion, endemic. Tiger, not endemic to India. Fine. Indian wild ass, yes, endemic to India. Asiatic lion, endemic to India. So most of the species इसमें से we have done. So you can take down regarding the Kondana rat. वो आ सकता है इस साल because इतना ज़्यादा endemism कहीं नहीं देखने मिलता कि एक ही एरिया में. No place in the world other than this. Its habitat is Its habitat is deciduous, moist and dry deciduous forest, moist and dry deciduous forest, comma grassland, and its threat is overgrazing, tourism and recreational activities, overgrazing, tourism and recreational activities, overgrazing, tourism and recreational activities. इंडिया के लिए एंडेमिक है. रिमेंबर एंडेमिज्म ये आपको ये करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज फॉर एग्जांपल बंगाल टाइगर इज एंडेमिक ओनली टू साउथ एशिया. बट इंडिया के अंदर बंगाल टाइगर इज नॉट एंडेमिक. इट विल वेरी, आप कौन सा लोकेशन देख रहे हो. फाइन. इन्वेजिव एलियन स्पीसीज. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय इन्वेजिव एलियन स्पीसीज? The foreign or invasive any species that is introduced in an area, not naturally grown, introduced, yeah, accidentally introduced. Once it comes in an area, when it disturbs the local ecosystem. Why it disturbs the local ecosystem? Because uska predator base is not there. Because uska predator base is not there, it will rapidly multiply. And ultimately, it will rapidly multiply at the cost of biodiversity or at the cost of other species, and then it becomes threat. We will call this as an invasive alien species. Example is, the world mein best example is rabbit. Introduced as a pet, 20 rabbits which were introduced in Australia. वो story पता है? Australia की, they were introduced in Australia for hunting or for a pet animal. उनका कोई भी प्रे बेस नहीं था. वहां के वुल्फ जो थे ऑस्ट्रेलिया के, उनको समझ में नहीं आया ये एनिमल क्या है. दे डिड नॉट यूज टू ईट द रैबिट्स इनिशियली, एंड इसीलिए 20 रैबिट्स से वो बन गए 200 मिलियन रैबिट्स. 2 मिलियन रैबिट्स, नॉट 200. एंड 2 मिलियन रैबिट से लेके पूरा 1996 में पूरा वीट डिस्ट्रॉयड इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया के. ऑस्ट्रेलिया हैड टू इंपोर्ट द वीट and causing millions of dollars of loss to the economy. That is what is known as invasive alien species. Destroys it. इस साल some of the invasive alien species are in the news. पिछले साल जो क्वेश्चन था Profloris juliflora, वैसे इस साल 2-3 invasive species are in the news based on Supreme Court का guidelines. So we will first write the definition and then the current affairs. एक्सोटिक स्पीसीज फॉरेन की होती है, इसलिए एक्सोटिक स्पीसीज विच इज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन एन एरिया, मे बी intentionally or unintentionally, but once introduced, they multiply so rapidly, that they destroy the local habitat of an area. And hence, when they become threat, they are known as invasive alien species. Become threat, they are known as invasive alien species. Example 1. देखो, if they do not become threat, they are not invasive alien species. Before then, example 1, why multiply rapidly? First, because the they are not integrated with the food chain. Why they multiply rapidly? Because they are not integrated with the food chain. Second, integrated with the food chain. Second, they try to colonize the area. They try to colonize the area. They try to colonize the area. Colonize the area. Third, they may destroy the natural vegetation. They may destroy the natural vegetation in the process of multiplying. Example 1. Example 1, lantana. Example 1, lantana. What is lantana known as? Is it a Congress grass? Ornamental plant. Ornamental plant. Which has now become an invasive species in India. Second, current affairs. Fall army worm. पढ़ा था? Fall army worm. On the maize plantations. On the corn or maize plantations, fall army worm on the crop or maize plantations. In America, both North and South America, and 2018 India. 2018 India. Third, eucalyptus. You already know. Fourth, wattle plant. वहाँ पे लिखना both eucalyptus and wattle plant. Both eucalyptus and wattle plant reduce the groundwater level. Reduce the groundwater level. Next, Prosopis. Prosopis juliflora. पिछले साल का क्वेश्चन. Prosopis juliflora. It is an invasive alien species, especially in the Banni grasslands of Gujarat. Invasive alien species, especially in the Banni grasslands of Gujarat. Banni grasslands of Gujarat. Brought for source of timber and fire. Brought in as a source of timber and fire. Brought in as a source as timber and fire, but today causing destruction of Banni grasslands. Destruction of Banni grasslands. Common water hyacinth. Next example, common water hyacinth. Next example, जितने भी एग्जांपल्स दे रहा हूं बार बार करना, इसके बाहर क्वेश्चंस नहीं जाएंगे। कैशिया, कैसिया, and then write current affairs again. The Zoological Survey of India, the Zoological Survey of India has for the first time compiled a list of 157 the list of 157 invasive alien animal species. Invasive alien animal species. Invasive alien animal species. On the sidelines of national conference, on the sidelines of national conference on the status of invasive alien species. On the status of invasive alien species. This conference is organized by ZSI, Zoological Survey of India, and BSI, Botanical Survey of India. Organized by Botanical Survey of India and Zoological Survey of India. So ये conference जो दिसंबर में हुई थी, so they can ask you who does this conference. So दो organization जिसमें दो species पे ज़्यादा focus था. One is cotton mealybug. Cotton mealybug. It is native to North America but has affected cotton crops in Deccan. Native to North America but has affected cotton crops in Deccan. बीटी कॉटन के साथ ये आ गया इंडिया में, सीड्स के साथ, has affected the cotton crops in Deccan. And next, papaya mealybug. Papaya mealybug. Again native to South America, North नहीं, South America, which destroyed crores of plantations. Which has destroyed plantations of papaya worth crores. Worth crores. And third, anyone from Bengal here? पिछले साल एक फिश का रेट सडनली इंक्रीज्ड इन बंगाल जस्ट बिफोर दुर्गा पूजा. व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ दैट फिश? कौन सा है सबसे फेवरेट फिश ऑफ बंगालीज? हिल्सा. हिल्सा का इतना ज्यादा, वन ऑफ द रीजन फॉर इंक्रीज इन द हिल्सा का प्राइसेस इज इन्वेजिव एलियन स्पीसीज. Amazon sailfin catfish, which is destroying the native fish population of Bengal. Amazon sailfin catfish, which is destroying the fish population of wetlands in Kolkata. Native population of कैटफिश जनरली इन्वेजिव एलियन स्पीसीज. इंडिया में सकर फिश भी इन्वेजिव है, बहुत ज्यादा इंडिया में. 8% ऑफ आवर टुडेज बायोडाइवर्सिटी कंसिस्ट ऑफ इन्वेजिव स्पीसीज. हमें सब कुछ नहीं करना है, हमें जो न्यूज में है और जो की एग्जांपल्स है वो करने हैं. सो पहले के की एग्जांपल्स एक्सेप्ट फॉर फॉल आर्मी वॉर्म, 3 न्यूज में फॉल आर्मी वॉर्म, कॉटन मेलीबग, पपाया मेलीबग याद रखना है तो रखो, पर कोई जरूरत नहीं. एंड तीसरा इज अमेजॉन सेल्फिन कैटफिश. फाइन विद दिस. नेक्स्ट, पॉपुलेशन. What is the difference between community and population? When the members of same species in an area is what is known as a population. If and in an area when the population of different species exist, it is known as a community. So members of population will always interbreed. Members of community obviously cannot interbreed. So here we are the population of human beings. But community में क्या आएगा? In राजेंद्र नगर जितने भी animals है और जितने भी humans है, जो भी cattle है, that will be an example of an community. So that is the basic difference. Community, different animals, different species in an area. Population, only same species. Simple है याद रखना. Census हमेशा population का होता है. So human population census, cattle census. पॉपुलेशन का सेंसस होता है. हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स ऑफ सेम स्पीसीज विल एग्जिस्ट इन एन एरिया. सो पॉपुलेशन का डेफिनेशन, अगेन नॉट एट ऑल वर्थ फ्रॉम द एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, बट स्टिल पॉपुलेशन व्हेन द मेंबर्स ऑफ द सेम स्पीसीज, members of the same species in an area is known as an population. Members of a same species in an area are known as an population. So the members of population can interbreed. Members of population can interbreed. While community consists of members of population of different species. Members of community consist of members of population of different species in an geographical area. Very favorite definition of UPSC is ecosystem. So what is an ecosystem? Ecology, the study of organisms as per their home. Biology, inside जब जाओगे तो biology. जब बाहर से study करोगे organisms and the habitat in which they live, that is ecology. When you study the ecology, you divide it into ecosystems. What is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is an area in which there is an interaction between the species among themselves and also with the surrounding environment. I am again saying, in simple words, ecosystem is the study of organisms, biotic component, and with the environment, abiotic component. What happens in an ecosystem? There is always an interaction going on between the biotic and the abiotic components of an environment. You, for example, if this classroom is an ecosystem, we are the biotic components. Is there interaction going on between us? Yes. This interaction can be positive, this interaction can be negative. Positive interaction if you are enjoying the lecture. Negative interaction if you are watching towards the clock. Negative. Getting it? How this interaction is going on? It is supported by light. So bahar sunlight, abiotic component. It is supported by fan, bahar air, winds, abiotic component. It is supported by pen. It is supported by pencil. It is supported by books. So ecosystem matlab any area jahan pe there has to be biotic and abiotic component both. Why I am stressing on all this again and again, because you see 5 बार ecosystem का definition पूछा है past year में. You have the list of past year questions. हर समय definition अलग दी है. There is no standardized definition. But what you have to search for the keyword is interaction, एक word. और दूसरा word है biotic and abiotic. If it is the एक definition है interaction between all the living species in an area. No. एक है definition, interaction between the living and species and the environment. So what is the most appropriate definition? Living species and the environment, because environment is the abiotic component. So this is an ecosystem, positive, negative. क्या है biotic components? We all. What are abiotic components? Light, water, sunlight, etc. So ecosystem has both biotic and abiotic components. Now what happens in real life is ecosystem are separated from each other by different boundaries, but may have a similar climatic zones. So बन जाता है biome. So this classroom and that classroom will become one biome because the same process is going on. But the reception will become a different biome क्योंकि वहाँ पे कभी lectures नहीं होंगे. So वहाँ का climate totally अलग है. Fine. So when the ecosystems are separated by definite boundaries, they become a biome. So this is one biome. We can create a boundary, we can remove that boundary, but we cannot do that for the, there will never be a lecture in the reception. So that is a different biome. So ecosystems are made up of biomes. Now, आज के lecture के बाद the word ecosystem and biomes will be interchangeably used. So you should not get confused because that is what is being done. Aquatic ecosystem या aquatic biome, terrestrial ecosystem या terrestrial biome, they are the same. Aquatic biome में fresh water biome and saline water biome. फिर उसमें आएगा रामसर कन्वेंशन, मतलब कल we are going to progress in this way tomorrow. रामसर कन्वेंशन on the protection of wetlands, wetland biome. And terrestrial biomes में mountain biome, territorial, equatorial biome, savanna biome, the things which we have done in geography. Then after that, degradation of biome. So water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, etc. When we come to current affairs, incineration versus pyrolysis versus pulverization versus biochar, burial. So these are the ways of reducing the environmental pollution. Getting it? So what do you mean by incineration? What do you mean by pyrolysis? What is the difference between them? So this is what you should know based on this. And then the waste management in India, biochemical waste management in India, e-waste management in India, and CRZ rules and notification. ये है ecological systems. Fine. So you can take down the ecosystem. The word ecosystem was coined by Arthur Tansley. The word ecosystem was coined by Arthur Tansley, which means the interaction that occurs between the biotic and abiotic component, between the biotic and abiotic components. In other words, ecosystem is an interaction between the living organisms and their environment. Is an interaction between the living organisms and their environment. And thus, ecosystem consists of both biotic and abiotic components. दोनों का मीनिंग सेम है, एग्जाम के लिए अलग अलग डेफिनेशन दे रहा हूं. Ecosystem consists of both biotic and abiotic components. Ecosystem consists of both biotic and abiotic components. Now tell me, what are the biotic components of an ecosystem? तो क्या क्या है? प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स और so the biotic components are producers, consumers, and decomposers. ऐसे नहीं, plants, animals, वो सब. Anything that can manufacture their own food is producer. They are one biotic component. Consumer, which will eat the producers for the source of energy. Decomposers, which will convert dead and decomposed complex organic matter into simple organic matter so that it can be used by plants. So tell me one example of producers. All the green plants, algae also. Consumers, animals, birds. So consumers के कितने level है? Primary means they are going to eat the green plants. Secondary, they will eat the herbivorous animals. Tertiary मतलब predators. And then decomposers. Decomposers में detrivores and decomposers. What is the basic difference between detrivores? Don't write anything. What is the basic difference between detrivores and decomposers? Detrivores are the ones who will eat the dead. Decomposers, they will help in breaking down after the eating. So remember, autotrophs, because they produce their own food. Heterotrophs, because they are dependent on the others. And these are saprophytes or saprotrophs, because second nourishing, they are based on the second nourishing. Don't write anything. Fine? So before we go, come to question number 113. वो मैं डिस्कस करना रह गया. So till the time 113. Bring this every day to the class. Red sanders मतलब what? Sandalwood. Sandalwood is an vegetation of moist deciduous or tropical evergreen? Moist deciduous. So statement और sandalwood naturally कहाँ मिलता है? कर्नाटका में. So statement 1 is wrong and statement 1 is right and statement 2 is wrong. Fine? Why? Because it is not of a tropical rainforest. Question number 57 with this reference. Question number 57. D. Is virus considered as a part of life? No. So the answer is virus is not considered a life. Okay? Virus is having life only in the host. So the answer is fungus and bacteria. Fine? So this is what is the decomposers. We'll write all this, but एग्जाम के हिसाब से याद रखना कैसे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. ये कौन है डिकम्पोजर, कौन नहीं है डिकम्पोजर. जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन जो मुझे चाहिए था वही नहीं मिल रहा है. सो यू कैन टेक डाउन नाउ. The biotic components consist of living organisms such as plants, animals and decomposers. They are divided into producers or autotrophs. Producers or autotrophs. That will manufacture their own food through the process of by the process of producers or autotrophs. We divide into one, producers or autotrophs. Manufacture their own food by photosynthesis or, understand, सिर्फ photosynthesis नहीं, chemosynthesis. Fine. Can someone tell me what is the difference between photosynthesis and chemosynthesis? Photosynthesis on the land, can I say generally? And chemosynthesis in deep waters, जहाँ पे sunlight does not reach? Yes. जब chemical reaction will occur in the absence of light, chemosynthesis. In the presence of light, photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, can someone tell me the outcome of photosynthesis? Someone tell me the formula, कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. Will give out in the presence of sunlight. क्या? So what is the outcome of photosynthesis? Water vapor या carbohydrates and oxygen. Oxygen is given out in the process of photosynthesis and what is taken out is carbon dioxide. अभी ज़रूरत नहीं है, कल के लेक्चर में कार्बन साइकिल में. Can I say the only one mechanism of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere or only one method of natural carbon sequestration is the process of photosynthesis. Fine. So what is this photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide is taken out and oxygen is given out. Fine. Along with evapotranspiration, obviously, along with the water vapor. So fine with this. So one, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a natural carbon sequestration mechanism. It's a natural carbon sequestration mechanism. Sequestration, sequestration. Or carbon fixing mechanism, or a carbon fixing mechanism in which solar energy is turned into carbohydrates, sugar and oxygen, in which the solar energy is turned into carbohydrates, that is sugar and oxygen. Sugar and oxygen. Photosynthesis can occur only up to the depth of 200 meters in the aquatic ecosystem. Depth of 200 meters in the aquatic ecosystem. And therefore, the major part of food production in the aquatic ecosystem. Major part of food production in the aquatic ecosystem is through chemosynthesis. is through chemosynthesis. Question number 69. क्या पूछा है क्वेश्चन में? Which adds carbon dioxide. So photosynthesis adds or removes carbon dioxide? Removes. Photosynthesis के exactly opposite is respiration. Volcano? Yes. Decay? Yes. So the answer is C. 1 to 4. And question number 86. A community of organisms interacting with one another? No. It has nothing to do. That part of the earth which is inhabited by living organisms, that is a definition of biosphere. That is a definition of biosphere. B is a definition of biosphere. A community of organisms together with the environment, matlab abiotic component in which they live together, so obviously there will be interaction, so that is ecosystem. Flora and fauna of geographical area, that is biodiversity. So we'll meet tomorrow. And देखो आज जाके सिर्फ इतना रिवाइज करो, नो नीड ऑफ शंकर IAS एक्सेट्रा. कल से मैं बताऊंगा किस जिसके पास जो बुक है वो कौन सा पेज पढ़ना चाहता है. And bring the atlas tomorrow.